News Talk K57, 19 minutes after 8 o'clock in the morning, the breakfast show on News Talk K57, following a couple of issues around here this morning, and among them a page 3 story, and considering it's the Pacific Daily News, you'd think it would have ended up being on page 1. It looks like there has been the conflict of interest that has been much talked about in ballyhooed over the last 9 months or so with regard to Senator Matt Rector's position in the legislature and his position in the Guam Federation of Teachers. Senator Frank Blas, who is on the line over here, and through an unusual quirk, and I don't know how lightning managed to strike this way, Senator Frank Blas is in the studio. Monty Mesa is here as well to talk about Korean investment opportunity that is coming up. But Senator Matt Rector has also called in with a trip report from Washington, D.C., and in the interest of disclosure and fairness to all concerned. Senator Rector, I wanted you to know that these parties were in the studio or on the phone, and I'm going to keep your phone keyed up here so you can join the conversation.
Thanks, Ray. How are you doing today?
I'm doing very well, and we'll get to the trip report in a second. Senator Blas is on line 1. Frank, are you there?
I'm here, right here, Ray.
All right, terrific. Listen, I wanted to get a sense of 3030 as it is now being applied, and as Patrick Mason, apparently over at the Attorney General's office, has concluded that Senator Rector does have a conflict of interest with regard to what he can and cannot say in public hearings, floor debate, et cetera, et cetera. Is that your understanding of Mr. Mason's opinion?
Well, I think that the opinion has got to be clarified even more. I had a discussion with the speaker with regards, and with our legal counsel in the legislature, the minority legal counsel, on basically what the opinion does state. Now, the opinion, although the opinion states that 3030 does apply to members of the body, it's okay. How does it apply? That needs to be that needs to be asked and answered. And so, in my discussion with the speaker, I wanted to bring and find out, okay, ma'am, what course of action should we take here? Because the bigger picture here is, if that in case applies, what of all the conversations that we have with on the floor, mm-hmm. And how would that affect being able to put issues on the floor, and what are the steps that are going to need to be taken, and what are the steps that need to be taken if there is a conflict, or if there is a perceived conflict and it is not addressed.
The bill itself, or the measure itself, says the Guam Election Commission, the main repository for the disclosure of conflicts of interest, and it seems to me that would be the remedy that the legislature has applied. If there is a conflict or a perceived conflict, then the subject of that conflict, in this case Senator Matt Rector, would just have to say, look, I may be conflicted here by virtue of the fact that I'm also the president of the Guam Federation of Teachers. Should that not be sufficient for the purposes of the legislature?
Sure, but if you read the law goes on to state that with the perceived conflict, and although you do file that, then you're restricted from participating in further deliberations of the matter by the discussions, by voting, by lobbying, by all of those things. So this was an issue, and this was one of the concerns I had when 3030 was being debated on the floor. This, along with the broadness.
Legal counsel looked at that and said that's not true at all, and we have a letter stated on the record that says that's not true.
I think, Matt, the letter speaks to whether or not there was the opportunity during the debate and the discussions as to whether we could stop an individual from debating and from participating at that point in time. It did not address 3030, Matt. You know that.
Senator.
I'm very clear. I'm very clear, Matt.
That's the voice of the Guam's working families, and you want to
I am not, and please, Matt, if you can recall the conversations I had, and I went to you and I said, Matt, be very careful. I don't want your actions may hurt the voice of the working family.
I'll talk about folks, and I'll talk about issues that people elected me to talk about. And one of those issues I'm talking about right now. the Republican majority, the Republican minority in the Senate and the legislature of the United States has been against the public option for health care. And even the Democratic majority in the
Well, you know what, and we're talking about Public Law 30-30 on Guam as it sticks to Guam. Obviously, Public Law 30-30 does not extend to the members of the Senate and Congress in the United States. We're talking
Matt, and if you don't mind, I'm sorry, I had Frank on the line, and we're talking to Frank about the conflict issue and the opinion from the Attorney General's office. If it is your preference to talk about the trip report, may we communicate later in the program?
No, I'm out of time, but no, like the people of Guam were not included in the Senate Finance Reform, Health Care Reform Bill, and specifically were not included the people of the terror. And you want to talk about
can we stick with the issue we were talking?
Well,
the AFD and the FBI, and they said we're going to do everything in our for the people on Guam and the working families of Guam to be included in health care reform. So if you want a conflict of interest, you don't get involved in it. Call it a free interest. My connections with the labor movement states and the labor movement on Guam are helping working families of Guam. And I appreciate
the role of the unions, and we're talking about issues concerning as it applies to members of the left body. Thank you very much.
Anybody that makes
anyways, Ray, so that is the issue that I'm taking on. Obviously, now we've got an opinion from the attorney, and this actually obviously requires further discussion on this thing. I have been talking to the speaker, and with the meeting for the ethics commission to be hearing on Friday, that will also be a topic of the discussion.
All right, and appreciate your time, Senator Blas.
Thank you.
And I'm going to disconnect with him and Senator Rector. I've got a couple of minutes so that you can give me your trip report, and again, it comes to desire for inclusion in health mortgage. Understand that enough? Yes, me. I remember her name is. You're going to have to help me. Who's the with you?
With a ton of senators, representatives. Is there an opportunity? You're
going to need one and check it out. Apparently, able to look at a complaint. I don't know that it refers to what you had already decided on. This is a thing that come up in last week. I'm aware of.
Yeah, no. Times I wrote to the office asking for their opinion to clarify their legal opinion on labor issues, and they wrote back saying that they thought that even talking about the issue was a conflict of interest. I didn't pursue it. I didn't care. But I need can bring on all the time, but I didn't see a damn one of them, excuse my language, I didn't see a single one of them that makes a profit from denying paid sick leave for their employees. When they voted against it on the floor, not a one of them disclosed in advance, was probably through mandate. But that being said, let me talk healthcare a little bit.
All right, real quick, because I do have Monty Mesa in the studio, and you are familiar with him. His name is on the bottom of a complaint that was filed against you in the Ethics Commission.
I think Monty Mesa is going to end up looking fairly bad out of this, but I appreciate him phone because I could use all for talking about their families. But when it comes to health care, if people didn't know, like the senators in the U.S. Senate denied us the ability to participate in federal health care reform.
Yes.
And that's one of the reasons that I've been here and been lobbying with senators. And I met with Senator Harkin, who's the chair of the health committee in the and he promised me that he was going to keep in when they go to the merger of the bills, because there's one health care reform bill that's in the Senate Finance with Max Baucus chairs, and Senator Harkin, of course, chairs the Health and Labor Committee, and he is going to fight to make sure that we are covered and we are included. And I also met with Speaker Pelosi, and she said, look, we're fighting all you can, but we got to get a bill passed. And though she's worried, she's fighting for us. And then I got on the phone to the AFT and the AFL-CIO and explained the situation to them, and they are fighting for us in labor. And that's how you build power. That's how we win for the people of Guam. Because really, just coming here and up and yelling and screaming doesn't do you any good. That's why I went with a whole group of state senators and a whole group of people that have influence from every state, and they were very, very gracious in allowing me to accompany them on their lobbying meetings, and including me and supporting us and the people of Guam.
All right, two-pronged solution here. Number one is the inclusion of the people of Guam and the insular areas on this, and the second one is obviously going after the public option.
Exactly.
Okay, guys, I wish I had more time, but I do have some guests in the studio, and thank you.